So to start, I kind of want to go back to, I had to look it up. I think we met probably around 2013. I think you were a sophomore at Clay-Chalkville.
Yep.
And I remember, I was going back through some old articles, stuff like that. But I remember being covering a game at Clay-Chalkville. I don't remember who it was against. I was trying to work the camera and get some photos. I was on the first base side dugout area, in that bullpen off to the side,
Yep.
and you were pitching, and I saw you dragging your finger through that mound dirt. What
Yep.
were you doing?
So throughout high school, and then I continued on through college as well, I just kind of added initials as I went. But, in high school, after my mom passed away my sophomore year, that was my first year back pitching, without her in the stands. So um, every time I went out there, I would, etch her initials, then a breast cancer sign on the back of the mound. Kind of makes you feel like, she was still there the whole time, and I was on the mound. So kind of get a sense of, calmness and stuff when I'm on there. So I continued that on every time I stepped foot on the mound. And as I got older, I started adding Easton's initials on there. And then, once I got into college, I added both, I kept doing both of those. And then my sister lost her baby when I was in college. And so I added her initials on there as well. So it kind of just kept on, going on there. And it just kind of, on a mound, you're alone. You get your team behind you, but you're the center of attention on the baseball mound. And I felt like, sometimes, you know, things get kind of out of your control and stuff. And if you have those things behind you that you kind of know are there, it kind of gives you a sense of calmness and, that everything's okay. And, you have those people, no matter what happens, they'll support you and stuff like that. And, have my mom's initials on there, she couldn't be there in the stands, but I know she's looking down, and it just kind of, it makes it all, a full circle for me. Just to have her still there in some way. She may not be here in physical flesh, but if I can continue to, do something like that and makes it feel like she's still with me no matter what, it made pitching a whole lot easier for me.
Absolutely. And I remember, seeing that and talking to you, and at the time, I think Coach Brandon Johnson. But uh, I mean, you were really close with your mom, and she was pretty much at all your games, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. She actually, I believe it was a week or so after she had a brain tumor removed, we had a Saturday game, and, she comes out, her head, still bandaged up and stuff like that, but she wasn't going to miss one of my games. And it was a JV baseball game. Those aren't that important in the grand scheme of things, but for her, it felt like, she wanted to be there to see me play baseball. And for me, it's like at the time, you don't really think about the importance of it. But, when you look back on those things, you really, you can see how much she truly cared for me, and my baseball career and, all my friends and stuff around me. So, those kind of things are truly special and things that you look back on now and you really appreciate.
Absolutely. And I remember, just for me, like, I don't remember, Matthew, how I found out about, all of this, but I remember a time just as a journalist then, knowing that was something I needed to pursue, a story I needed to tell, if that was something that you obviously wanted to tell. And I know high school athletes can get nervous at times to talk to us, but man, like, I was nervous for that. Like, I remember having to ask a 15, 16-year-old kid about just losing his mom, and you having to trust me to tell it right.
Yep.
And you didn't know me, and I didn't really know you. I remember, I think we did that interview up in Coach Johnson's office, like up in the press box. Do you remember that?
I do remember that for sure.
Man, like, it somehow, some of these stories seem like yesterday when they were like 7, 8 years
Yeah,
ago.
for sure.
uh was that pretty, I don't want to say pretty cool, but like, just being able to tell that story, did that do anything for you, or was it just you just agreed to it?
No, and I think for me, being able to tell that kind of story of who my mom was, because I think she was truly, special. And I'm not saying that just because she was my mom. I think, other people saw that as well. And I wanted to share that story. And, just to keep her legacy going. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is to, I don't ever want to forget about her. Every day, I might not, she's not here with us, but it's just like every day I still struggle with the same thing. Um, there's not a day go by that she doesn't cross my mind. And I may not sit there and just completely dwell on the fact because it has been, it's pushing 8 years now.
Yeah.
Um, but if I can continue on that legacy and continuing to tell her story, because I think her story needs to be told, and she was truly special, and for everything that she battled through, and I got the opportunity to do other things to where I continued on to share her legacy, and I did one for CBS last year. We talked about that same little part too. So I think no matter how many years goes by, just continuing to remember her, and it's important for me and my family. Um, and you kind of started that, so I really do appreciate you letting me do that, and getting my story out there, and continuing to speak about the legacy my mom had.
Absolutely. So from there, just on the field, I mean, you have a heck of a career at Clay-Chalkville. I know in particular, what, two no hitters? I forget who they were against. I know one was corner. But what was it like playing high school baseball at Clay-Chalkville High School?
I loved Clay, and I think the cool thing about playing baseball at Clay was the fact that all the guys that were on the team are the guys that I grew up with. And I think nowadays in high school sports that kind of gets thrown out the window a little bit with how many kids move around schools all the time.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was like all of these guys, I grew up and played with, and we're still getting to play together, and you don't really realize all that until you're out of high school, and you don't really speak to those guys much, as much anymore, because we all have our lives, and stuff like that, and we all get busy. Um, but being able to just play with them throughout, from little league all the way up through high school is special. So, and that's what Clay, gave us the opportunity to do, and so I'll always have so many positive things to say about Clay-Chalkville.
For sure. And I know just your performance, Clay-Chalkville's performance over those 3-4 years of varsity baseball, helped you earn several college scholarship offers. And so just why was UAB the right one for you?
I had several, a couple of lower Division I schools and JUCO schools, and they were all interesting, with what they had to offer. And then, I ended up going to the one place that offered me no money. UAB didn't offer me any type of scholarship money, going in at all. And, at the start, it was kind of, for my dad at least, he was very wary of me going to UAB because of that aspect. Um, but I really wanted to continue on to baseball, and UAB was really close to home, and when we went on our official visit, my dad was still wary of going to UAB, and we went on my official visit. We sat down with Coach Shoup and Coach Hopper, and they just talked about how I can grow, as a person, as a husband, for the future, and for being a dad. And I think that really struck a chord with my dad, and he was, on the way home, he was just like, I think this is the place for you. Um, and they ended up being the place for me. And looking back now, it's like those 4 years were incredible. The coaching staff, we had Coach Hopper, Coach Shoup, Coach Roth, then Coach Revelette came, and all those coaches I still communicate with. They're just incredible people, incredible coaches. They really push, not just baseball on you and how they want you to develop in baseball, but the main thing for me is like they really pushed how you mature as a man, your growth in Christ. And I think, having those kind of coaches, it really shapes your future. And for parents, like my dad, he felt like that was the best place for me to really mature. Because coming out of high school, I did need to mature. I matured, when my mom passed away and when Easton was born, but it still wasn't, what I needed to be. And I think UAB just continued to shape and mold me into the man I am today, and continue to strive for. Um, so, that's the reason, staying home and stuff with Easton, and it just made the most sense. And I'm truly, truly thankful I ended up choosing UAB, because that place is just special. And no matter how many years go by, I'll always think about those years at UAB and, how they, shaped and molded me to, the man I am today.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what athletics are all about, regardless of the level that you're playing at, whether it be, little rec league or high school or college or heck, even the pros. It's about that platform that you and coaches and other players have, and how they use that
Yep.
platform. So you mentioned going into UAB, and you've mentioned Easton. So tell me about Easton. He was born when going into college or before
So
college?
he was born in 2014, so I was a junior. Um, I just on April 3rd, I was pitching in an area game against Pell City. Um, I don't remember exact. I think I might have went complete game. I can't really remember. And then all of a sudden, I go home, take a shower, and drive straight to the hospital. And Easton was born the next day, and pitching in a baseball game the day before your son's born in high school, it's kind of nerve wracking, to begin with.
Right.
And then I drive to the hospital, and I still got the little plaque or whatever from St. Vincent's of me getting the little ticket, you get when you pull into the parking deck.
Yeah.
Um, on April 3rd, it's like 10 o'clock at night when I got there, and I still have that in my car just because it's a memory that, my life was forever changed on, going in. And, I was just from that day forward, it's just totally different. With a kid now, it's just your life changes,
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
for the good, and it's incredible. And just watching them grow up, awesome. And with Easton now, it's hard to believe he's about to turn 7 years old,
Oh wow.
and he's playing all these sports, and it's kind of like I'm going full circle now. And he's playing baseball again. He plays basketball. We played flag football this fall, which is fun. And it's just weird now because I feel like I'm not that old, but now I'm all these other kids' coaches now, and same way my dad was my coach and all this kind of stuff. So it's weird, and it's it's fun though, and it's just it brings you back to those days. And just watching those kids have fun and stuff. And, some of these kids might not, Easton may not want to play baseball in high school and stuff like that. But, at this moment, it's all about them just having fun and enjoying the game, being with friends and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see it from this perspective again,
Yeah.
which makes it so enjoyable.
Yeah. There's nothing more pure than kids playing
For
baseball,
sure.
man. So was it tough having a kid that young?
So it was tough. But, we just had so much help, um,
For sure.
with my family and Amanda's family. They were just incredible through the whole thing, and we were really scared. Um, we being 17, you never know what to expect. So, especially as you look at all the stats and stuff of, teenage pregnancies and how they fare and stuff. And, me and Amanda, we truly wanted to just beat all the odds. Um, I think we've done a fairly well job of that. That was the whole thing is like, we're going to do this and we're going to do it really well. And we're going to come out of here with a testimony. Um, and I think that's what we've done. And, just it was really hard in the beginning, and it was, just still going through school. And then, UAB, at the beginning was really tough because that was the first time I was really away from Easton for a while. And, I still lived at home. And so I'd see Easton at night and stuff, but I was going, the full day without ever seeing him. And I wasn't used to that. And, that's really difficult. And not many kids would have to go through that in terms of being, newly into college and stuff like that. I did. So it was really hard in the beginning, and as he grew up, and then, as the years went on, it just came, everything just kept getting better and better and better. And, I actually, my freshman year at UAB, and I told, Coach Shoup how I'm forever indebted to that man, for everything that he did for me. But, my freshman year, I was extremely, like, really depressed about how things were going. And I was just missing, being with my son. I felt like I was missing so much, that I went into their office, Coach Shoup and Coach Hopper, and I told them I just didn't think this was going to work out for me. And, you know, sat down for, an hour or two, and they talked me out of it. And it was, I'm so thankful they did, because I don't know the trajectory of my life if I wouldn't have stayed at UAB all those years. Things could look a lot different than they do now. So I'm really thankful for them. But it was hard, and I can't say, and I would be lying to you if I said everything was just, perfectly easy and we just got to where we are today, just, and smooth sailing, because it's never been that way. Um, but I don't think anyone's ever had it that way either. You know,
Right.
life's hard for everybody, and it's just about, going about your battles every day and, just knocking them down and keep on rolling. So I think, for me, it was hard, but everyone faces those same hardships.